One, two, one, two, one, two. What's going on? It's your boy Jason Mass. Jason Mass playing music with another review of one of my favorite albums of all time. This time it's going to be Wire's The Ideal Copy. Released in 1987, post punk legends, influence, from here till times get better as far as, you know, who has taken and drawn from their overall aesthetic and approach to music and songwriting. Great band. Let's see, got Colin Newman, Bruce Gilbert, Robert Gotobed, and Graham Lewis. That's a four-piece band out of London, I believe. Yeah, let's get off into this review of The Ideal Copy by Wire. I think the album wins because of its brevity. It's only 8 tracks long, but of those 8 tracks, I would say 6 of those tracks are perfection. And the other 2 remaining tracks are great tracks as well. And I'm a fan of short albums, because it's less room for error. The longer the album is, the trickier it is to, keep up that high level of songcraft. But that's just my take. And as this applies to Wire, we'll start with point one, the kind of eerie, the point of collapse. It's a very cool beginning to a very great album. It's very kind of just strange, something isn't quite right type of song. It kind of reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode, and that cool lyric, "Death in the Living Room," the point of collapse. Great, great track. Perfect 10 in my opinion. Then we have the driving instrumental Ahead, which was I remember, I think I first heard that like on an MTV promo in the late 80s or so. Great track, very great track. Um, it's one of those, for me, one of those cornerstone tracks in the early years of my getting off into alternative music. I think it was still probably called college rock at the time. Yeah, Ahead, track 2, another perfect 10 track. Then we have yet another perfect track with Madman's Honey. That's another great perfect track. Has a very kind of light and breezy, kind of fleeting kind of quality to it that I really thought was really pretty cool. Then we have Feed Me, which it sounds as if it's like a horror movie torture scene. It sounds like the music to something like that. That's the image that comes to mind when I hear that one. It almost sounds like it could have been a swan song or something that Michael Gira, take your pick, would have done. You know, those very heavy thuds and all this space around the music, it hits me like the Swans, something Swans would have done. Yeah, I would say that one was a 9 out of 10. Then we go to side two. If you have the cassette or the vinyl, it would start off with Ambitious. Another perfect track, another one of those kind of cornerstone of alternative music in the middle 80s, late 80s kind of track. That I am hot, I am hot, I am hot, I feel ambitious is a cool kind of mechanic kind of quality, not industrial, but a mechanic kind of quality to the production on that track. I think was really cool. And there's something about Wire and the way they treated words and songs. It was just something, another thing to play with, like the sound. You can't really find much literal meaning in a lot of Wire's music, and that kind of adds on to this mystique that the band had. I always really had a heavy appreciation for. Another perfect track, Ambitious, 10 out of 10. Then we have the track Cheeking Tongues. A very fast driving, pulsating track that it's juxtaposition with the vocals is really crazy, because the vocals are like very airy and feather light, kind of, just kind of breezy, but up against this very high paced track. It's a real cool, clash, going on between those two elements, and a very kind of cool hook. Were you there? Were you there? Were you there? Were you there? It's all history. Great song, great track. Seventh track is entitled Still Shows, and this is the track that sounds the most like the earlier stuff in Wire's catalog, something that could have been from the first three albums, but mainly I would say it could have been from albums 2 or 3, which would have been Chairs Missing and 154 respectively. Yeah, I would give this one a 9 out of 10. Great track though. Also another great track, and it ends on a high note. Perfect 10 track with a song entitled Over Theirs. Mood of this track, it 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 puts me in the same frame of mind of Synchronicity 2 by the Police. Has the same kind of forbidding, something not quite right kind of vibe about it, in the same way that Synchronicity 2 it does. It's like the same kind of feel. And with Synchronicity 2, it talks about some kind of monster coming from a Scottish lake area and appearing at the doorstep of your home. And it has that same kind of quality. And I don't think it was influenced by that or anything, but it just puts me in that same frame of mind. But anyway, yeah. Wire, their band dynamics was always very interesting to me, because you had this very kind of hyper pop sensibility of Colin Newman. He wrote something about the way he approached harmonies and melodies. He was the pop sensibility. Then you had Graham Lewis and Bruce Gilbert, who were the abstractionist, just playing with sound, art for the sake of art. That was those two guys. And you had drummer Robert Gotobed, very kind of mechanical drumming, to kind of piece it all together. One of the all-time great bands. I would have to say The Ideal Copy by Wire is a 9.75 out of 10. One of my all-time favorite records, 3/4 of the record, perfect. So there you have it. Please get familiar with this band, and especially this album, if you haven't already. And it's funny because I know I'm in the minority when it comes to Wire, when it comes to this record. I think a lot of Wire fans like this record, but they didn't like it as much as the earlier post-punk type stuff, the 154 record, or the Chairs Missing record, or the debut Pink Flag. For a lot of people, those are the records, their best records. Maybe it's because I came in later to Wire. I didn't learn of Wire until this album, but I was only maybe 14 years old or so, 14, 15 maybe, maybe 13 or 14. So that is why I think I gravitated, part of the reason why I gravitated so much to this record, more so than the earlier stuff. The earlier stuff I do think is superior, but not, you know, when compared to this record. So anyway, Wire, The Ideal Copy, 9.75 out of 10. More to come. Thank you for watching. Peace.